Joseph Charles Dippolito, December 28, 1914, January 14, 1974, also known as Joe Dip, was an Italian-American mafia member in the Los Angeles crime family. The son of fellow mafioso Salvatore Charles Dippolito, known as Charlie Dip, Joe Dip rose to become underboss of the Los Angeles crime family. He was featured in the book The Last Mafioso by Ovid Demaris. Biography. Joseph Dippolito was born on December 28, 1914, in Brooklyn, New York, to Salvatore Charles and Angelina Dippolito. His father was well known as Charlie Dip. During Prohibition, Joseph Dippolito served a one-year prison sentence for illegally transporting liquor. After his release from prison, Joe Dippolito moved from New York to Fontana, near San Bernardino, California, where his parents had moved to. Eventually, after selling diamonds bought during the Great Depression at bargain prices from New York, in Ontario, California, Joe Dippolito and his father Charlie, and other family members, started and owned several successful businesses on 4th Street, including a liquor and market store, a hotel, and extensive wine vineyards in what is now Rancho Cucamonga. The Dippolitos became prominent and powerful men in the Inland Empire. The Dippolitos were involved in many real estate land deals, and produced various grapes for winemakers in California. Later, Joe Dippolito proved to be a competent mafia killer. He was a big, muscular man who Jimmy Fradiano said was built like a heavyweight wrestler. In September 1949, Fradiano was ordered by Jack Dragna to set up and kill Mickey Cohen loyalist Frank Nicoli, who was freed on bail. Jimmy invited Nicoli to his Westchester home over Labor Day 1949, for a beer. Fradiano initially tried to get Nicoli to end his longtime loyalty to mob boss Mickey Cohen. When that effort did not work, Fradiano knew Nicoli would be killed. A few minutes later, surprised with a knock at his door, Jimmy answered it. Jimmy invited in his new guest, who was Joe Dip. Leaving the front door partway open, in a friendly voice, Jimmy asked Nicoli, "Have you ever met Joe Dip?" Nicoli said no, and rose up to shake Joe Dip's hand. Dippolito shook Nicoli's hand and then quickly wrapped him in a reverse bear hug. Fradiano and Sam Bruno, who had also rushed into the house, both placed a rope around Nicoli's neck and choked him to death. Afterwards, Fradiano said Dippolito took Nicoli's body, and buried it with a sack of lime in his large wine grape vineyard in what is now Rancho Cucamonga, California. These grape vineyards were a popular place for the LA Mafia to bury dead bodies. This method of killing was termed by the Mafia the Italian rope trick, and a few years later this move was repeated on Louis Strauss, Russian Louis, in April 1953, with Dippolito holding Strauss in a bear hug, while Fradiano and Frank Bompasiero strangled Strauss with a rope. In 1952, Dippolito became a made man in the Los Angeles crime family under boss Jack Dragna. The swearing-in ceremony took place at the Dippolito vineyard in Ontario. He was now a soldier working in Fradiano's crew. His father had been inducted into the family 5 years earlier. When Nick Licata became boss of the Los Angeles family in 1967, he promoted Dippolito to underboss. On January 31, 1969, Joe Dippolito was indicted in a Los Angeles court on 3 counts of perjury for statements he made during a liquor license inquiry on May 16, 1968. He was released on $10,000 bail and scheduled to be arraigned. On May 17, 1969, he was convicted on 2 of the 3 perjury charges. On June 10, 1969, Dippolito was sentenced to 5 years for each charge, 10 years total. A $10,000 bond allowed him to remain free pending appeal of his conviction. It was during this time that law enforcement recognized him as the underboss of the Los Angeles family. On April 16, 1971, his sentence was reduced from 10 to 5 years by Judge Warren J. Ferguson, and he started serving his sentence. On December 13, 1971, Dippolito was paroled after serving 8 months. Joe Dip was released after San Bernardino Mayor Al C. Ballard, Police Chief Louis J. Fortuna, and California Superior Court Judge Joseph A. Katz vouched for Dippolito in letters written in 1969 to a probation officer. Dippolito died on January 14, 1974, from a heart attack at his daughter Josephine's wedding. He had been in poor health and had been hospitalized about 3 months earlier because of a heart condition. He was interred at Bellevue Cemetery and Mausoleum in Ontario, California. Notes. References: Demaris, Ovid, 1981, The Last Mafioso, The Treacherous World of Jimmy Fradiano, Bantam Books, ISBN 0-553-20230-8. Organized Crime, History and Control Equalization Board vs. the Estate of Joseph Dippolito, 1983.